lot of really powerful stuff with your site. So before we jump into all of that, I do want to kind of reiterate, no pun intended, what the loop is. So when we're talking about the loop, we're talking about just a way of programmatically outputting a series of posts on your site that all have the same markup. So a great example is here on our homepage. You see we have 3 posts, so the Swag and the Struggle, Gray's Review, and Industry Insider. And all of these posts are going to basically use the same markup. So we have a heading, we have a date, an excerpt, a link to read more, subheading for categories, a list of categories, and then a list of tags, if tags have been added to our post. So the way that this works is in our index.php file. And this is the loop right here. So the loop has several parts. So our first statement is an if statement to check if we actually do have posts. If not, we don't want to run any of this code. So if statements just take some sort of condition and they check it, and they either do something or not, depending on whether or not that condition is true. So we do have posts, so we proceed in our code to our while statement. And while statements let you kind of reiterate the same code as long as a condition is true. So as long as we have posts, then we're going to run the code inside of the statement. So in our statement, we have this line, the post, which allows the loop to advance itself. If you don't include this, you'll run into a bunch of problems with having an infinite loop that never runs, or never finishes. And then we have a call to this getTemplatePart function. And outside of our while statement, we have a call to getTemplatePart, and we're getting our pagination. So when we talk about pagination, we're talking about something like this, like the 1, 2, 3, 5, that lets you check out previously published posts. So this getTemplatePart function looks for a file, and it outputs the contents of that file. So we're looking for a file in a folder called templates, called content. And if we check our server, you'll see I'm in this templates directory. You'll see we have this file content. And we can open this file and take a look at what's going on. So in this file, we have an article tag in H2. If we have a thumbnail, we output the post thumbnail. We don't. We have the date, the excerpt, a link, a list of categories, and then a list of tags. So this is all done using these little PHP snippets that grab something that you've entered into the dashboard of your site. So for instance, the title grabs the title, the date grabs the date, the excerpt grabs the excerpt. So there's a few of these. Pretty much all the useful ones are included somewhere in the theme, so you shouldn't need to do too much research. You can just kind of copy and paste and move things around in order to get what you need. So what's important to note here is that this code is running for each of these different posts. So if we wanted to change something, so let's say we wanted this H3 to be an H4, for instance, we can just save that in one place, upload our change, and when we refresh, this is now an H4. So what's great about this is that you can change things in one place and have it just affect a whole bunch of different stuff on your site. So that's great for the main loop for a page. So loops are basically used in every template file. For your homepage, for instance, it's going to loop over your most recently published posts. For a category page, this is also based in the loop, but it's only going to grab things from a particular category, in this case fashion. Or for film, it's only going to grab things that have been categorized as being film. So what you can do is you can actually write your own loops that accept arguments that let you output different things. And I'm actually doing this in my sidebar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come out to my sidebar and right click to view edit. And let's take a look at the code that's going on here. So what's happening here is that I'm actually writing a custom query that accepts a couple different arguments. There's a link in the comments here to a page that you can use as a reference for the different arguments that you can pass into your function. So for instance, you can grab things based on the author, based on category, based on tag, a whole bunch of different things. I'm not going to go too far into this, but if there's something in particular that you want to do, I'd recommend reading through it and seeing what you need to do for that. But for this particular query, what I want to do is I want to grab things, all my posts that are in fashion. I'm currently only grabbing one post per page, and I want to order these ascending. So that would actually be the least recently published to the most recently. So you can change these arguments to be whatever you want. So for instance, if you wanted to return 3 posts instead, just change that to this number to 3, re-upload your file, and refresh, and you now have 3 posts. You can make this any number you want. Uh, and you'll notice the code here is basically the same between the 2 places. So we're checking to see if we have posts. It's worth noting that for custom queries, you'll need to actually store the WP query as a PHP variable. That just looks like $something equals new WP query. So if you want, if you're going to incorporate custom queries into your site, that's totally fine. Just you can copy and paste this code exactly. You'll want to change the markup, but if you change this variable, just make sure that you change it in these other places as well. It doesn't matter too much. You can certainly just have one variable that you use in all places. Doesn't matter. But same thing. So we're checking to see if we have posts, and then while we have posts, we're executing some code for all of the posts. In this case, we're putting out this markup that has the panel default class from Bootstrap. So some things to note here. So what's happening here is that inside of our if statement, we're outputting this markup only if we have posts. So we only have this opening div class if we have posts that match this query. We're only outputting this subheading if we have posts that match the query. And then, so we have some markup that's only if we have posts. And then we have some that's basically on the other side of the loop. So our closing div tag that matches this div tag is only there if we have posts. If we don't have posts, so let's say we just completely broke this. So we change our category name to something that doesn't exist, and we re-upload. Then instead, we'll get this alert saying no fashion posts were found. And that's coming from the other side of our if statement. So we're saying if we have posts, run all this stuff. If we don't, so else, then output this instead. So like I said, you can basically change the query to be whatever you want it to be. You can just basically grab this code and do whatever you want with it. So one thing that I thought would be pretty cool, and I'm just going to grab all this code real quick, is I thought for each of our individual posts, it would be cool to have a list of posts that have that are currently featured. So real quick, I'm just going to fix the file. So we have that sidebar again. And so the markup for our individual posts is going to be in a file templates content single. And you can see here, just to make sure that we're working on the right file, I'm just going to quickly add the word test. And you'll see that's now appearing on our page. So if we wanted to output all of the posts with the featured tag, I'm just going to literally just copy and paste that exact code into our into this content single file. And you can see when I re-upload this file that we now have the exact same code that's in our sidebar. We don't want that. We want to change this. So what I'm going to do is, rather than basing this on category name, I want to base it on tag. And for tag, I want to make it featured. So I'm just going to make that change. I'm going to change those 2 values and re-upload the file. Then when we refresh our page, you'll see that we now have the 3 things that have been recently tagged, which is great. We'll also want to change this, this heading. So let's make it something like, you might also enjoy ... So when we save this, you'll see that header is changed. So that's working great. We're getting the content we want, except I don't really love the way that this looks. So one thing that might be cool is to use some sort of column-based layout for that. So what we can do is inside of our if statement, we can change this div class. Let's make that just a bootstrap row. And for all of our individual articles, we can get rid of all the stuff that's specific to the bootstrap panel component. I deleted something I shouldn't have. So we've just reduced that markup so that we now only have the article. And then let's come in and let's add some bootstrap classes for columns. So if we made this column medium 4, so a 3-column arrangement, then when we refresh, you'll see that we have all of those posts output in, they each have their own column. So that looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. And all I did there was I copied and pasted that exact code from sidebar.php, which is available in Sakai if you want to take a look at that code. So I just copied and pasted that code and just changed a couple class names to make it more closely match what I wanted. So you can do some really cool stuff with this. So something that's come up a lot is a lot of people have asked about taking your homepage and kind of breaking it down by category. So this is exactly how you would do that. You would write a different query for each category that you want to loop over, and then you'd have some markup that belongs to each post. So I hope this has inspired some cool ideas, and I hope you guys enjoyed playing around with writing your own custom queries. As always, if you have any questions, please let me know. Fuck.